What is your shadow trying to tell you? Hey, what is up, everybody? Ross Cessna from Spiritual Phoenix Studios here. We're going to do a pick a pile reading for shadow work, but first we're going to take a deep breath. So we're going to breathe in through our nose for 4. We're going to hold it for 4. And then we're going to breathe out through our mouth for 4. So breathe in. And actually, if you did another breath there, like in for 4 more seconds, or actually pause for 4 more seconds, you'd be doing what's called box breathing, or Navy SEAL breathing. And it's a way to help calm yourself if you do it cyclically like that, 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. Anyhow, pick a pile between 1, 2, or 3, and then we will get it going. So we're going to go with ones first. Ones, your very first card is Abaddon, the Overlord of the Abyss, pestilence, corruption, and malice. Not off to a good start. This card kind of indicates like an inclination towards the worst decision. So you might be being a little bit decadent right now, might be wiling out a little bit. Probably should look at that, especially with the holidays. Holidays can be a time of overindulging emotionally, overspending, over drinking, over drugging. Like, people tend to wild out around this time because there's a lot of stress associated with it. And obviously in the context of 2020 in general, all of those things tend to be more amplified because of how things are right now. Now, the next card that comes up for my number ones is Israfel. And this is an angel from Angelarium deck. And this is kind of the first trumpet of the end, right? This is signaling that maybe that energy of Abaddon, that overindulgence, that decadence, like acting on literally like the worst impulses that you have, is kind of signaling that there's going to be a reckoning coming up sometime soon. Thankfully, that generally has a new beginning. And the new beginning of that is represented here in the Soul card. To me, this character, while not religious, reminds me of kind of like Virgin Mary or somebody like that. So it's this peaceful, calming presence that kind of maybe helps process some of the grief. So that to me is saying that there might be this reckoning, but there's going to be some kind of easing of pain as a result of it. And in terms of tarot, this would make me think of that transition from the Devil card to the Tower card to the Star card, like that cycle there where it's addiction, collapse, hope, despite maybe the challenges or the darkness that's around us, right? So with ones out of the way, we're going to move on to our twos. And our twos, they have the Morrigan. And this one is about challenges of self-knowledge, and it kind of pushes you to have a deeper understanding of yourself, right? And so it's challenging situations that push us to look within. It's almost kind of like on the hero's journey, like entering the cave and facing your darkest fears. Like, that's the energy of the Morrigan to me, but it does it in like a tricksterish way, to where you're kind of like, you got me again with this little hiccup. Sometimes it can be humorous too, right? Sometimes life can kick your ass, and it's so funny how it actually happens. Next card that comes up is Gavura, and this one is largely about a reckoning coming, right? This is saying there might be a lesson that my number twos have missed too, that's going to pop back up and set them straight. And that can be true for all of us to an extent. This is just saying that maybe it's overdue for you, and that there's going to be a chance encounter of fate that pushes you to a new direction. And it's interesting because the next card that comes up is the Soul card, with this egg, right? These cards don't have any meaning. They're all interpretive. So my interpretation of this card is there's this potential for a new situation to ripple out and impact your life in a big way, right? Egg, and then the ripples of it, like the movement of it. There's something, this reckoning is going to shift you your life in a big way, and it may be good or it may be bad. It really depends upon how you nurture whatever is in there. And we'll leave it at that, right? And then lastly, my threes. And my threes started off with Anubis. And Anubis is really about neutralizing energies and kind of duty, right? Showing up and doing the work. In this card, it says preservation, neutrality, and obligation. So it's like maintaining order, trying to stay out of conflicts, and then also showing up and doing what needs to be done, like having that discipline, right? Next one, that actually leads to Bina, which is wisdom from challenging experiences. So when you have the energy of Anubis and you're able to process your life more neutrally, and not necessarily see things as good or bad, but just as situations or learning experiences, but you still kind of take your lumps because you're not so diluted with optimism, that actually encourages you to expand and cultivate knowledge, right? And that ends you up in a position where you're actually friends with your shadow. So my threes are kind of like in alignment with my shadow. My twos seem to be a little bit further along. And then ones are like really at the beginning of this process where they're getting introduced to their shadow. It's one of those things where you try to use a big word to sound intelligent and you use it incorrectly. Thankfully, I just caught myself right afterwards. But ones are just being introduced to some part of their personality that they might not have seen for a while. Twos are really nurturing something, and threes are all connected. One thing I would say about this too, right, is just because our ones might be just being introduced to a new part of their shadow, it doesn't mean that they're any less further or farther along than us, because all of this stuff comes back up, right? There's always new beginnings on our path in my experience. Anytime I think that I've found some kind of resting point or destination, it always just seems to, the horizon stretches out from there on, right? But anyhow, I'm going to stop waxing poetically. If this was helpful, drop a like, leave a comment. I'm actually going to be releasing my second blog post. My blog post is focused on this rough draft of a book that I'm writing, so it would be cool if you could check it out. It'll be posted tomorrow. I'm working on tidying it up today. And yeah, thanks so much. Hope you have a blessed day. Chat soon.